The world had barely caught its breath since Solarius's ascension. His image was still painted on murals, and candles flickered on stoops in his honor. Children would still point skyward whenever a streak of gold cut through the clouds. Solomon had promised to be vigilant, a promise that now felt heavier than any armor. His dreads had grown impossibly long, braided ropes of molten light that trailed faint comets whenever he moved. They weren't just hair anymore. They were living conduits of the sun's will, and Zaren's warning echoed in his mind. Necrox would return. He would not come alone. It started with whispers of shadow. Satellites blinked out. Astronomers recorded static where stars once hummed their cosmic song. Fishermen reported that the night sky itself tasted wrong. Solomon felt it first, cold, rhythmic tug at the base of his skull. His long dreads rose, braiding themselves into a crown of light as if answering a silent call. Zarun found him on an old broadcast tower, his eyes reflecting distant constellations. "He's coming," she said, simply. The citadel foresaw it. He's bringing the armada. Solomon stared into the dawnless stretch of sky. "Then we'll be there to greet them." The day began with a chill and ended with a roar. The heavens split open. From the rift spilled a swarm millions of dark ships, each one edged like a blade, powered by amethyst thrusters that drank the light. They moved as one, a living shadow, turning the sky into a hunting ground. Leading them was the Eclipse flagship, a cathedral of void stitched with crowns of collapsed stars. Its arrival was an event. Tides shifted. The magnetic poles hiccuped. Power grids staggered. And then a single, chilling message broadcast in 1,000 tongues. The projection of Necrox, taller than ruin. Purple light bleeding from his armor. Sunborn, his voice rolled across the planet. "You resisted. Admirable. But light is a meal that only grows sweeter with resistance." Solomon rose like a sun unmoored. His dreads, now trailing past his knees, streamed behind him, each lock a ribbon of living flame that crackled and sang. He tore through the first wave of enemy fighters, his hands throwing white-hot blasts, his heat vision carving corridors through their formations. His dreads lashed out, shredding halls and igniting bridge cores. With each strike, a ripple of gold spread outward, opening pockets of light like healing wounds across the fleet. But the armada adapted. For every ship he shattered, 3 more took its place. The armada turned its teeth to the world's great cities. Atlanta became a front line. Solarius moved like a tempest over the city, his cape a river of daylight, his dreads tangling with the wreckage of falling ships. He carried survivors to safety, extinguished fires with his palms, and struck down the void-born soldiers that spilled from the dark vessels. Zarin fought at his side, her arc spears of star metal piercing the void creatures, her voice a steady rhythm of Neurian commands. Together, they severed a cruiser's supply conduit, and its grenade-like cores tumbled out, detonating in a bloom of controlled sunlight. For now, Atlanta held. In the burning wake of the flagship's advance, Zarin led Solomon to a drifting fragment of the old solar citadel. There, half buried in glass and cosmic dust, lay the heliobind, a ring of crystallized dawn. "It can't destroy the flagship," she warned, "but it can bind the Armada's energy field long enough to force a withdrawal." As Solomon took it, his dreads wrapped around the ring. The heliobind seared into his palms, and the light in his locks brightened, sharpening. He felt every sunflower it had ever contained. It made him smarter, faster, but it also leashed him to a responsibility that tightened his chest like a vice. He launched toward the flagship, ribbons of light streaming behind him, the heliobind pulsing at his core. Necrox watched from the flagship, a titan in void armor. They met in the void above the ship Solarius, the torch of a single world, against Necrox, the Emperor of Blight. They traded blows that shook satellites from orbit. Solomon struck with the heliobind, sending bands of light that forced the void shields to fail. Necrox countered with rifts of anti-light that clawed at Solomon's core. "You are beautiful in your fury, Sunborn," Necrox's voice echoed. "You flared, I will feast." Solomon answered with a nova surge, a concentrated blast that lit the flagship's surface like a second dawn. The ship's prow cracked, but Necrox didn't fall. He absorbed the assault and threw it back, sending Solomon spiraling into the atmosphere. The Armada began to falter as the heliobind's power spread. Seeing the tide turn, Necrox did what Saran had feared. He detonated a dark pulse, hurling a sphere of condensed void seed directly at Solarius. His dreads whipped forward to protect him, sizzling and snapping as they absorbed the impact. Clutching the heliobind, Solomon threw himself into the seed, channeling every ounce of his will. The void seed imploded in a blinding flash. When vision returned, the wounded flagship was retreating. The Armada, fragmented, followed it into the rift. But victory came at a cost. The heliobind had burned a channel through Solarius's solar core. His dreads, once impossibly long, congealed into heavy braids, scarred with white and gold. The world below cheered, but the sound felt fragile. Zarin landed beside him. "You held them off," she said, her voice a mix of relief and worry. "But this was only a raid. They will come again, stronger." Solomon looked at the smoking horizon. He could feel the wound inside him. Then we prepare, he said, his dreads settling around him like a cloak of molten light. We build a line. We train others. We learn the cost, and we pay it willingly. In the weeks that followed, the world rebuilt under Solarius's banner, united. The war was far from over. But for one sacred hour, Solarius stood on a rooftop, watching children wave flashlights at the sky. He plucked a single, small strand of light from his braid and let it fade in his palm like a captured firefly. "Hold onto the light," he murmured. And somewhere in the black between stars, Necrox listened and smiled. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the next part of the story.